So when we're talking about historical statues, we're usually talking about the statues that celebrate some person for their achievements or role in history. Of course, when a statue is of a person, what it really celebrates can become pretty complex because people are complicated and sinful. Usually we don't spend a lot of time thinking about the complexity of what a statue honors. But when you see a statue for the first time, or when you learn something new about the thing that statue celebrates, then you might begin to take a second look. And that's exactly what's been happening around the world at the moment. In South Africa, we're almost a few steps ahead in this. We've been grappling for decades now with this recognition that our history is marked by a lot of sin. And so as we all grow in our understanding of the horrific effects of apartheid and colonialism, and as South Africans who come from historically oppressed backgrounds are educated, we've started to take that second look at our statues and what they celebrate. And we've gone,
But not everyone agrees that these statues should be taken down. It's a big debate.
yeah, for sure. People differ dramatically on this issue because people are different. And they have different backgrounds and upbringings, and so, unsurprisingly, they see the statues differently. And since, for most people, the way that they see a statue will inform whether they think it should be taken down or not, you end up with very different views.
Most people?
Right. So here's the thing. As a Christian, I follow Jesus, who taught and demonstrated to me that there's this other way of living. In this way of living, what I think and see when I look at a statue is actually a whole lot less important. Because, according to him, I'm not the center of everything. And my purpose isn't to serve myself, but to serve the God who made me, which I can do by serving others. Jesus summed up this way of thinking at the end of his Sermon on the Mount like this. He said, "Therefore, do for others whatever you would have them do for you." Which means that I, a Christian, as I consider a statue, what informs my thinking isn't actually what that statue means to me, but what it means to others. And as I consider what the statue means to another person, I consider what I would want done for me if I saw the statue the way they do. And then I work to bring that about for their sake instead of my own.
So, whatever another person wants done to a statue, I should agree with them?
No, not quite. Sometimes. This isn't so much a rule as a principle, which is why we need to deal with statues on a case-by-case basis. Doing for others what you would have them do for you isn't about an attitude of just giving in. It's an attitude of love. That's how Jesus articulates this idea of doing for others what you would have them do for you elsewhere, when he says, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." And this is not this modern mushy love. Love in the Bible is punchy and dogged and sometimes even bloody. Love is wanting what's best for others. And any parent knows that only sometimes does that mean letting a child have their own way. What love does do is it asks us to give up our self-focus for consideration and desire to serve others. It shapes our opinions differently, and it shapes the way we listen to others as we debate these issues. And as we do this, we might begin to discover something remarkable happening. Suddenly, I might find that a statue that wasn't offensive to me becomes offensive because it offends others. And a statue that celebrates something which benefited me becomes a statue that celebrates something that's hurt me because it celebrates something that hurt someone else. Love doesn't give us a default answer to these questions, but it does change our perspective.
So, if I say that these statues should be removed, doesn't that mean that it's erasing history?
Yes, so that's an important concern. Remember, though, that most statues, and I'm sure there are exceptions, are not just about remembering, but about celebrating. And we do have ways of remembering history without celebrating it. See, I think this fear that we have is a little deeper than forgetting history. What actually worries us is that in taking down these statues, we create opportunities for other ones to take their place. And it's not a silly concern. If I believe that every human heart has this warp away from God's definition of good, then naturally any statue that we put up to celebrate a human is going to have this aspect too.
So, if it's going to create the same issue, then shouldn't we just avoid celebrating people at all?
That's a fascinating question, and as much as I'm tempted to think that, I don't think it would be a biblical answer. I think there are ways to celebrate people appropriately. It's just always going to have to be nuanced because of them being sinners. Of course, according to the Bible, you would still be left with one sinless person who you could celebrate with a statue, Jesus. Except that he, the one guy we could honor with a statue taught his followers against celebrating him in that way. Instead, he wanted people to honor his life by reflecting him in the way they lived rather. Essentially, to become little living statues of him.
So, how would you wrap it up for us?
Right, should historical statues fall? Well, it depends. As Christians, we're left not so much with an answer, but a principle. It's not so much about what the statue means to me, but what it symbolizes for others. And my job as a Christian is to love others. And if that means the statue should fall, well, then my focus is on filling that empty pedestal by celebrating Jesus, not with a statue of him, but in the way I reflect him in my life. Hi there, we're St. Peter's Fishhook, and we hope that you found this order-in video helpful and stimulating. If you did, please could you share it with someone you know would also be interested in this topic. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us via our website or our email or WhatsApp details. To find out more about why we're making this video and what our church is about, check out the video on my right. And if you're interested in learning more about the answers Jesus claims to have about the big questions of life, you should definitely check out our life series. Click the video on my left to find out more.